It is Midweek Extra. What a Midweek Extra it is. It's the Midweek Extra we've all been waiting for. The Midweek Extra of dreams, and not just because I'm with Mike Kearney, Abigail Rudkin and Beth Lindop. It is because, Beth, Virgil van Dijk has signed literally 10 minutes before we started. You've been typing away, doing stuff with ESPN. It's all go. But the main thing is the absolute main fella is going to play for Liverpool for another 2 more years. At least. He'll probably carry on, but at least the next 2. I'm absolutely delighted. How are you?
Yeah, delighted. I think it's sort of felt like a long time coming, hasn't it? It's felt for a lot of the season like it was maybe a little bit inevitable, and certainly sort of in the last week or so. I mean, he was very positive in the mix zone after the win over West Ham, and why not? Obviously scores the winner, but you could sense that there was going to be some sort of announcement probably before the Leicester game. But even still, you know, it's just nice to have it finally confirmed. These contract sagas have dominated every sort of discourse this season, haven't they? We've talked about them and analysed them to the nth degree. So getting Salah done and now getting Van Dijk done is really, really nice. And yeah, I guess it's a bit of a statement of intent, I think, for Liverpool, because I don't think either of those players, despite the fact that they're sort of approaching the latter stages of the career, you know, I don't think either of them would have committed if they didn't feel like the club was in a good shape. And
probably even more so, Beth, because they've only got so long left, and so you don't want to waste them. And so for the pair of them, they obviously think, listen, you know, we're winning trophies here, and it's fantastic that they feel like that.
Yeah,
because they know.
I thought it was interesting because Van Dijk, sort of without being prompted, really sort of raised the fact on Sunday that he feels it's going to be a big summer for Liverpool, and that the fans should trust the board to get the recruitment right. And you don't very often hear players talk about sort of transfers in that way, but you know, I think that's probably formed a basis of his discussions and Salah's as well, you know, having those assurances that the club are committed to bringing in the best talent, and obviously keeping the best talent, which I would absolutely say that both Van Dijk and Salah are. So yeah, a real boost, and should give the players a boost as well going into the weekend.
Abby, get your paints out, girl. He's looking pretty cool, isn't he, on all those images and what? It's just great, isn't it? Because he's so good. And I was speaking to an Arsenal fan the other day, and she was like, oh, fuck, does Mo have to stay? Do you know what I mean? And that's how, like, people are going to be feeling. Probably more forwards, centre forwards, up and down the country going, oh, fucking hell, still him. Couldn't he go? Well, he's not going. He's staying for another 2 years.
Yeah, I think the video with the Forest dressing room when Salah said he was signing, did you see that? And it come up on the telly in the dressing room, and Ina's just absolutely devastated and is saying the league's finished because Salah's staying. So God knows how the rest of the league's feeling now. Virgil's decided to stay because he's had such a presence in the league. Even before he was playing for Liverpool, everyone was talking about how absolutely unbelievable he is, and he's just not done. I understand his age, and a lot of pundits at the minute are trying to be like, is this a mistake from Liverpool to give 2-year deals to people in their 30s? And you never know when you're in that age bracket when you're going to drop off. Basically, you can't just drop off the face of the earth at any point. But I think they've been such good veterans for the club for so long that you're at that point where you just still have faith that they can carry on, and you've still got belief that they can go again and go again. And like they've said, Liverpool is definitely where you want to be. You know what I mean? Why would you want to be anywhere else? You know, if anyone else is listening right now who hasn't signed their contract, why would you want to be anywhere else? We're winning trophies, we're doing well. You know what I mean? This finally gives them the opportunity to have another Premier League trophy under their belt. The photo of them two hopefully holding the Premier League together is going to be absolutely immense. And I'm only halfway through painting Salah on that throne. I don't know what I'm going to do. I thought it'd get announced tomorrow and I'd at least be 3/4 of the way through on Mo, but I'm only less than halfway through. So God knows what I'm going to do for Virgil now, but I'm very excited to create more content of the guy, hopefully for 2 more years now.
He's an unbelievable player. We did, when we went to Australia to do the live shows, we kindly got us to do Optus Sports, and did it out there, and the presenter was like, no one had signed then, and the presenter was like, of the 3, which one do you think is the most important? And I said Virgil, and I said, listen, Mo's incredible, and you know, but there'll be other forwards out there who you know will get goals and emerge. And I said, listen, Trent, you know, is a fantastic footballer and is probably younger, but I said Virgil's, he's so important to this team in terms of his captaincy, in terms of his leadership. You hear so much from the manager about the standards he sets every day, and I think it was vital to keep him, and I think it was absolutely huge. And he might be the best centre-half we've ever had. He might be the best centre-half this country's ever seen. You know, I'll let other people argue about that, but he almost felt irreplaceable to me, and I'm just so made up that he's managed to do it. And he looks made up as well, and that makes me even more made up. I'm made up, Mike.
Look, he's just got this. You imagine like he's such a charismatic fella, and like it looks so easy to him on the pitch. You can count on one hand, and look, every footballer makes mistakes, but when does it look like it's being hard work for him on the pitch ever? Really, I reckon I can count on one hand. There's a couple of years ago, this is pre-ACL, where Adama Traore with his baby oiled arms ran at him, and Virgil looked more angry that he had to show that he was actually quicker than him than actually having to do the running.
I'm run for 3 years.
He's like, lads, no one does this to me, and now you've shown everyone that I can just burn you off, and no one's going to even try ever again. So why have you made me work? Like the fella probably never even has to get many showers after games. Like he just walks around and does his boss defending and goes home smelling boss. So like he is that charismatic leader, isn't he? And then the weekend comes and goes there, and you know the mistake happens and it goes 1-1, and then he just has this nah. I'm going to edit this so hard that you won't even see it. And it's going to go in, and we're going to win. And I think that's where you're seeing the emotional release that from him that you don't really often see. And I think. Look, I knew deep down that them two were never leaving, because they've always said, "I want to stay. I want to stay. I love playing here. I love the fans. I love the city. They've always been so effusive about the time at Liverpool, the people, the fans, the staff. I just thought if there was a deal to be done with any of the two of the three, it would be them two first, because you know they're hungry for more at Liverpool is what we're seeing and what they're saying. And he's come out and he's led us there. And look, it's not like it's a keeping us a point clear of Arsenal. We're miles ahead of them, but it's still felt in the ground. Like, this is right. And like the emotional thing of, you know, there was the derby that felt like a good let off. Obviously because it was Everton, and obviously because it was closer to the league again. Sunday, same again, but the man it was, the reaction we got from him, I think the whole ground just picked up on this thing that like, well, this isn't going anywhere. You know, we're getting to see the two of the world's best players in their positions give their best years to Liverpool. And as a kid, like, that's all I ever wanted. We got it with Gerrard, Suarez left, Torres left. And now you can argue that we probably still got the best years of Torres, but at the time, yeah, you know, you want these players to stay and be brilliant for long. Michael Owen left as a youngster as well-ish, like 24, 25. Alonso, there was players that have come and gone, and now in our generation and the generation that's coming up watching this team now, the reality is that the best players want to be at Liverpool, is what these messages send.
Mike makes an excellent point there, Beth, in that, you know, when I was growing up, sort of in me, you know, adulthood really, players would leave to win the big trophies, and so, you know, maybe not necessarily the 90s, but Manaman, you know, is one who sort of goes off to Real Madrid, and it's hard to begrudge him really, because you look at everything he won there. He's scoring goals in Champions League finals, and we weren't even making the Champions League, you know, half the time. And so, you know, looking back, it's hard to begrudge them. You know, you mentioned there Alonso, Mascherano's another one. You know, these players were developing at Liverpool, and then will go off somewhere else to do the serious business, and that was always hard to take really. And the short careers these players have, and you can't necessarily expect them to have undying loyalty to you when they're you know, from somewhere else and they're coming, but that makes it even more sweeter that these two have come to Liverpool. That they found a home here, which is brilliant. You know, I always like it when people come to the city and fall in love with it and want to stay, and they've both sort of done that. You know, they talk about the families being settled and things like that, but I think it is really nice that they're going, no, this is the trophies, and you can't blame them really, because as soon as Virgil's come in, he's won, and yeah, we've had years where have been a little bit disappointing, but he's probably thinking, well, if I want to win Champions Leagues, I've been in 3 finals. Do you know what I mean? He turned up in January, he was in a final in May, and that's the way it's been. And so he's won one league title, he's going to lift another one. You know, we were World Club champions, loads of trips to Wembley, you know, everything. Every success that you could possibly want is achievable here, and that is a sea change from 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, when, you know, we'd have good players, but like Mike says, they were always thinking about the next thing, because that's where they won. Well, now you win at Liverpool. Yeah,
well, I saw a stat actually last night, and this isn't a slight on Arsenal, because I think they've been out.
Go on, slight them.
They're outstanding it over the 2 legs against Real Madrid, but there was a post saying it was the third ever Champions League semi-finals. And I was like, well, how many Champions League semi-finals have Liverpool been in the last 7-8 years? They've been in 3, 4. And it's almost like, I think you take that for granted when, you're having those moments so quickly. And sometimes it can be, you focus on the negative and the disappointments of, getting beaten in Paris and maybe not getting over the line in a couple of finals. But, the fact that Liverpool are getting there regularly, it's almost something that we've come to expect now. Certainly under Jurgen Klopp, it was something we've come to expect. And that's partly down to these players, because they've come in and they have just made Liverpool winners. And the amount of big moments and big days that Salah and Van Dijk and, Andy Robertson, Trent Alexander-Arnold, Alisson Becker have provided for Liverpool over the past few years has been something we hadn't seen for so long, really, before Klopp came in. Those days were much fewer and far between. So, yeah, I think just the fact that these players feel that Liverpool is the place to be, and they feel like on and off the pitch that it's set up for them to continue having those successes is really important and speaks of a club that is in very good health, I feel.
A club in great health, and a big part of that has been Virgil and himself. And sometimes people ask, what Klopp signing made the biggest impact? And it's so hard, isn't it? Because there's the other fella, Mo Salah, who's been huge. There's the goalkeeper who has another fantastic game at the weekend and has been absolutely massive, a real transformation signing. I think you even go back to Sadio Mane and what he did when he come in, and he's not still at the club, but he helped kick us on to another level. But I would say of not just the Klopp era, but of my lifetime, the signing that's had the biggest impact on Liverpool and taking us to another level for me has been Virgil. And I don't know what you think about that, but point to be forward to the fact that he joins in January, and then we're in the Champions League final by May, and then the next year we're winning it. And he was always a leader even before he had the armband. Listen, you can never have too many leaders in a team. That's not a slight on Jordan, who was a great captain, but he always felt like a leader in that area of the pitch. He's man of the match in that Champions League final when we win it. He's brilliant in the next league campaign, and it did feel like something for me changed when he joined. And he's been such a huge part of the club's modern success.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think the moment Van Dijk walked through the door, everything just started to feel a little bit more like it was coming into place. Like we had that leadership, and like you've just said, it is no slight to Henderson, but there's something about Virgil that feels like a Liverpool captain to me. He feels like he's got that stability, and as a centre half, he's constantly shouting, he's constantly telling the players what he wants them to do. And I guess captains captain in different ways, don't they? But the way Van Dijk does it seems to be presence and being quite a calm and collected person and an individual that they all look up to. And all the players that you've just listed there, all the way from Mane all the way to Alisson, these players over the years have built this team and built the club back up to where they were meant to be. And I know a lot of the credit should go to Jurgen for that, but those players that were fighting on the pitch for that, they've had the influence of Van Dijk all these years to be able to influence us to do even better. And now we're in a position where Van Dijk's still going to be there. We're going to have that stability of him to still have an influence on some of those younger players. I mean, it depends what we do in the summer. A lot of the time in his interviews, I've noticed Van Dijk's mentioning spending. A few of the players are mentioning spending in their interviews, and so Slot about a big summer that's coming up. But I think having the security of knowing Van Dijk and Salah are still going to be there, that sort of spine of the team. I mean, if you went through and listed the players who are always a standard starter, those two are always there for me, no matter what, and they are for everybody. That if they were to have gone, it would have just felt like there was a gaping hole no matter what. Even if you go and spend 200 million or whatever on anyone, you've got to replace world-class players there, players that have literally built this club to where they are. And, new signings look up to them. They think, right, I want to be the next Van Dijk. I want to be learning from Van Dijk. I want to be learning from Salah. And I think to have lost them would have just been an absolute catastrophe, but I also think it's sort of like a nice nod to Slot for what he's been able to build here. I think because when Jürgen went, I did think to myself, a lot of these players like Mo and Virgil are probably going to start thinking about moving on and think, right, this is a totally new project here. It's not something I've been part of. And maybe that's like Trent's thinking, because Klopp basically raised him to the player that he is. Maybe he's thinking, I'll move on to a new project. But the likes of Van Dijk and Salah, they're buying into what Slot's built. I mean, you win the Premier League in your first season. What is there not to love and buy into? But, you know, they're going to want to go on in these next 2 seasons and do better in the Champions League. I think they can see that there's improvement there, but we're also successful in winning trophies. I think when you know that there's development to be had and money to be spent is another big thing, which we do have money sitting there, hopefully based on our finances, that we can go and spend and build on that. You know what I mean? I think there's a sense of comfortability around the club that I wasn't expecting there to be. Once Klopp went, I thought everything was going to feel like it was going into turmoil and things would start to fall apart, and top 4 and a nice cup run would have suited me down to the ground when you lose someone like Jürgen Klopp. But now we've got players like Van Dijk and Salah deciding that 2 more years under Slot and this ownership and this club and 2 more years with us as fans is exactly what they want. So credit to them.
Yeah, it's a really good point, Mike, on Arne Slot, and I think he does deserve, you know, a lot of credit for how we're feeling right now. And how we're feeling right now is the jubilation over Virgil signing up, following up from Mo Salah last week. It's the feel of we could win the Premier League this weekend. More of that later. I'll be asking for everyone's sort of opinions on likelihood on that. But the fact is, you know, if it's not this weekend, then it's likely to be either midweek or the week after. And all the positive feeling around this football club at the moment, you know, like Abby says, it is not a little unexpected necessarily, but we weren't expecting it to go well so quickly. All the talk around the contracts was, well, they want to have a look, they want to sort of see what happens next. Well, they've seen what happens next, and it's winning loads of games of footy.
Yeah, I think it's. I don't want to do what is done down, but like I think everyone sort of forgets that we were all over the place last season with injuries, and we were starting Bobby Clark and McConnell and Jadon Danziger there and everywhere in a title running still. Like we were still in that conversation till April, and then the wheels fell off because of like it's all ground. Everyone knows there was tiredness, what have you. You know, we'd already won a trophy. It was a big emotional season. But the whole, like we literally only bought Chiesa in the summer, so that whole squad has been there and done it up to a point. And like the new midfield, this is their second year, and it's got better and better and better. And yes, that is down to the man that came in, playing a slightly different style of football, using, you know, different tactics, whatever. But it's still the same quality group of players. And the fact, the most impressive thing for me is that he's just not got in the way of them doing well, and he's made them do well. But he's gone, oh, I'm not going to come in and rip it up and do completely different things to Klopp. You know, I don't want to be this new character of like I'm doing it my way because my way or the highway. You know, he's basically used the best of what he's seen over the years of Liverpool, and then like made us more thoughtful in possession. You know, we definitely still press, but we don't press as much as Klopp. And he's he's won the time essentially to do that, hasn't he? The first year is always tough, and if you're 8th after 10 games, and you know, not where we were in Europe, it could have been a completely different conversation, and the pressure would have piled on him. And look, next season, who knows? But going into next season with that who knows question mark as a Premier League champion, you know, losing to the eventual, what I would assume and pretty much guess is going to be the champions of Europe in the knockout rounds is hard luck. Where, you know, we get them, could have got anyone else. I think Villa got Bruges in the same side as that draw, and I was like, I'm looking at it going, we finished first in that group stage and you finished 3rd, and you had an easier run in quotations to get to where you were. And maybe the fact that when we played PSG might have been different had we, like, because the legs were falling off us. We have 5 games in 15 days. He's managed us through all of that with the uncertainty as been mentioned about the contracts, and he's never ever flapped once. Like, he's just been, yes, it's sound. We'll just play and score and win. The flops or the perceived dips in our season from outside as well as in sometimes, like everyone's entitled to say things and stuff like that, but it's draws. We've lost how many? I can't, like, a cup game against Plymouth, the final against Newcastle, a quarter final against PSG, and Fulham and Forest. 5 games all season. Like that's a good season. That's like there's the whole narrative about it only being the Premier League started a couple of weeks ago, didn't it? Through the rest of the media. I'm just like, yeah, only the Premier League. How sad's that? Like, so I'll see how sad I'll be on the 26th of May when they're parading it round town with millions of us just absolutely going mad, showing our love for the for the players and the manager. And it's been this steady build as well. By the way, that is like it was week by week, and we just kept getting better and kept being more controlled. I think that's the biggest thing we'll all take from the season is. It's never looked like it's being out of our remit, but we need to be 100 mile an hour to do this. There's a week where we beat Madrid and Man City 2-0, and I remember walking out the ground thinking that was just easy. And like, if you can do that in your first season with a new bunch of players who like are seeing how things go in quotation marks, you're doing everything right.
I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the manager and how he's managed big personalities generally, because I think that would have been a little bit of a question mark when he took over, because he's come from Feyenoord, and listen, I'm not saying there's not egos in the Feyenoord dressing room, and because these are top level athletes who've achieved sort of great things and played in the Champions League, but it's not Virgil van Dijk, it's not Mo Salah, it's not people of that sort of status really. And when they'd have been analysing who to bring in, I'm sure that would have been part of it. And so they're looking at his record, they're looking at his style of play and how it suits the players, and they're looking at his coaching. But what they wouldn't have known and what it would have been hard to assess is how he deals with these elite players and personalities and how they react to him as well. And that's a big thing. And everyone always assumed, they'll get on well because the Dutch people fall out all the time. Do you know what I mean? Like, honestly, the worst the Scousers, the Dutch, honestly, they all hate each other, they're all sniping at each other and stuff like that. And Virgil's experienced that for the national team, and so there wasn't any guarantee. It might have been even more so. Virgil's thinking, who the fuck's this fella? Do you know what I mean? Like, would have known him for sort of quite a while. But I think a lot of respect goes down to the players, and especially Mo, who was one of the first, because he was on that pre-season tour, went a lot of the way, and I think how he embraced everything, all the change, deserves a lot of credit. But I think for the manager, how he's managed the big personalities and the big people in this squad, I think deserves a lot of credit. And he's given them a lot of freedom. I think he's given them a lot of freedom to talk and act and just sort of be themselves. He allows Virgil to lead and lead from the front in his own way. And there just feels like there's a lot of mutual respect there. But I think it's been a real lesson in, coming in and backing yourself. And I think Arne Slot's done that. But also how to... He hasn't had to stamp his authority all over the squad. There wasn't a need to do it, but some managers would have. We've seen that at other clubs where people have come in and they're throwing their weight around. This player's out and I'm in charge here. He's never had to do the big I'm in charge, Arne Slot, and I think the captain's probably appreciated that really, and he's always saying how good he is. He's not going, he needs to do this and do that. With certain players he does that, but with the likes of Virg, he's like, listen, he's world class. I don't need to keep his feet on the ground. I don't need to, be careful with him. I trust him to be professional, to lead and to do what's right for this football club. And it's felt like there's been a lot of trust and not a lot of ego from the manager's point of view from the top, and I think that's helped get the best out of Virgil.
Yeah, I think, being completely honest, one of my biggest concerns when it was announced that Slot was taking over from Klopp was whether he would have, I guess, the gravitas to get those big players on side. And that's no disrespect to him, to the Dutch league, but it sort of felt like had Alonso got the job, for example, he'd be an immediate winner because of everything that he'd achieved in his career and his connections with Liverpool, and you could just see that he almost would have more credit in the bank already coming in, whereas Slot obviously had done very good things with Feyenoord, but he wasn't this big name. He wasn't, he hadn't had this incredible career as a player. He'd had a solid career as a player, but he wasn't sort of, I guess, the sexy option, I guess. I mean, even Amorim, like, because of the hype that was around him at the time, you almost felt like maybe even he would come in with maybe slightly more presence about him. But I think one of the first things that has struck me about Slot from his sort of very first press conferences was how much charisma he actually has, and it's in such a different way to Jurgen. It's less sort of in your face, I guess. He's less. Jurgen at times could be a bit of a caricature, and I mean that in the best possible way, because it was, so entertaining to watch. But I think Slot from the get-go has had a quiet authority and a quiet confidence about him, and I think that has really translated to the players from very, very early on. And I thought it was quite striking a couple of months back. Salah's agent, Rami Abbas, who we know doesn't really speak a lot on social media, and when he does, it tends to sort of carry weight or have some sort of meaning, and he sort of shared a post with sort of Liverpool's form and said that Slot was excellent at his job, and you sort of thought, well, he's not going to say that unless his client also feels like Slot.
Him and Mo are disagreeing on it. Like, he's like, oh, he's good, Mo's like, oh, I'm not sure.
And so, like, for him actively to sort of make a point of saying how well he felt Slot was doing, to me, felt quite telling. It felt like, well, he's very much got Mo on side of his agent. It is sort of seeking to really make a point of how well the manager is doing. I think I think that's probably the most impressive thing that Slot has done this season. It is come in, take over a dressing room who would have ran through brick walls for the role manager. So many of those players will have been really, really upset to see Slot leave, to see Klopp leave rather. They'd be very upset to see Slot leave if he was to leave anytime soon. But to sort of make that transition, and we've said it a lot, but when you actually really think about how difficult it is to do what he has done with the minimum of fuss, it is so impressive, and it'll be interesting to see and exciting to see when he actually has sort of his own players in, and is able to mould the squad in his own image a little bit more at what he's able to achieve then.
Just to stick with you, Beth, before we have a little bit of a break to some other things, just from your own experiences of dealing with Virgil throughout the year, because you're obviously in the press area, you're representing ESPN and doing mixed sound stuff, and something that I've really liked about Virgil all season is that he's always fronted up, and like Mike says, there's not been many losses this season, but when there have been, he's always sort of stood up there, and he always goes over and he'll always talk, and I'm sure sometimes he doesn't want to. I'm sure sometimes he thinks they're going to ask me about my fucking contract again and there's nothing new to say. I'm sure there's times where he'd rather just put his headphones on and get on the bus, but the fact that he does always come and speak, I think, says a lot about him. I think he takes his job as captain very seriously, and that's on and off the pitch, and he sees himself as representing the players as a group. I think he thinks about representing the football club and how he represents this football club, and you get that from the way he talks about Liverpool and what it means to play for Liverpool. And I think he takes the whole thing very seriously, and now he's captain, he takes it even more seriously. And just a little bit on how you found him to deal with professionally.
Yeah, I would say professionally, I couldn't speak more highly of him, because I've said it a few times over the course of the season, so apologies if I'm boring anyone, but in terms of sort of stopping and speaking to the written press in mixed zones, he is under absolutely no obligation to do that, even though he's captain. The players have so much media to do, especially players like Van Dijk after games, speaking to various rights holders. So it would be perfectly understandable if, like most of his teammates, he just put his head down and walked past, particularly after a difficult result. But it's at a point now where no one even has to ask him to stop. He just does it automatically. He views that as part of his responsibility, even though he's not under any obligation to do it. And he's not afraid to front up to the difficult questions. And it's almost a little bit of a running joke now, because sometimes he'll come after a game and it's almost like, especially when Liverpool have been playing 3 games in 8 days and he's spoken to you twice in a week, and it's almost like, well, what more has he got to say? But he's always willing to do that. And I think the way he's handled his contract situation, because it can't have been easy to have to deal with those questions all of the time. He's been so respectful, and just genuinely seems like a very decent bloke, which you can't really quantify that, but I think you want players representing the football club who you feel like are good ambassadors for the club and for the city. And I mentioned it on the show on Monday, but I just thought the way he handled a lot of the questions on Sunday about his contract, he was very much sort of adamant. We want the next few days to be about Hillsborough. We wanted that to be, reflected in how we handle ourselves over the next few days. He made a point of stopping to sort of speak to Sean Cox in the mix zone as well, while politely excused himself. And I think just all of those little things, they all add up to make a character who is, as much as being a fantastic footballer, just is a pretty nice human being, I think. And yeah, it's a pleasure to have him stay for another 2 years.
Yeah, he's always been class with us, like unbelievable. Like, we only do mix zone stuff in the summer when we go away, and I've normally had a few drinks, as I'm not sort of shy to say it, but he'll like come over and have a laugh. There's an audio clip somewhere of me interviewing him, and then as he's leaving, I just go, I love you. But like, that's how he makes you feel, doesn't he? Yeah. Like, you do, but he's like always been like amazing with us. Andy, who's producer now, went over to Qatar and interviewed him, and I didn't make the trip over to that, but Andy was there, and Ash, who's doing the videos now as well, and he just, like you said, he was brilliant with them, sort of great. And yeah, he's always been like, yeah, just dead sound with us, and really, really good, and just seems like such a class actor and a class fella, and we're lucky to have him. We're lucky to have him indeed. Okay, we've got 2 inserts today because we thought it was going to be a quiet show. We do not get tipped off about these contract things, and so we did not know. So we've got a couple of inserts, but we do want to put them in. And so first of all, you're going to hear Neil speaking to Anu about the upcoming Gospel Festival.
I am joined by Anu Amadei from the Liverpool Gospel Festival and the Lighthouse we'll talk about the Gospel Festival first and foremost. It's 7th of September at Stanley Park. There was 3,000 people there, plus 3,000 people there last year. You had a great time last year. You've signed up to do it again. How's it all feeling, the administrative process at this stage, Anu?
So first of all, you're right. We had an amazing time last year, and it is wild doing it again. So soon, so quickly. But, when you're on that stage and you're listening to the acts and you're seeing the crowd and everyone's coming together and they're dancing and they're singing and they're such a joyful time, you're like, we've got to do this again every time. And then when you do it again, you're like, why did we do this again? No, but it's crazy. It's a roller coaster, as you can imagine, but it's great.
As I say, last year there was over 3,000 people there. A really big family day. That was the big thing that I heard after the fact from people who went down, were part of it. Loads of other good stalls as well. The music's the centre of it, but you want families to come down and enjoy it from all over Liverpool.
That's exactly right. It is a family day. There's entertainment for children. Bring everybody, just enjoy, eat, and enjoy the music and enjoy each other. I mean, at one point, we had people doing the conga. I mean, literally, like the whole crowd was doing the conga line. And then we had people doing, the electric slide. So it's a great day of dancing and fun. Whether you know the music or not, it actually doesn't matter. You just get in and you just enjoy and have a great time.
It's the centrepiece of a lot of work that you do at the Lighthouse. Yeah. So you're musical director for the Lighthouse on top of doing this work for the Gospel Music Festival. First and foremost, it is the only gospel music festival in the country. We want it to become the leading gospel music festival. That's the aim here. You're aiming for the stars with this one.
That's
but
right.
The work at the Lighthouse that you do as well is the Lighthouse is there all year round. This is a big centre point. It's a big peak, but the Lighthouse is there day in, day out for people.
That's correct. So it's the only mainstream gospel music festival in the country, and what that means is that it's open to absolutely everybody.
Yep.
And it's actually targeted at everybody. We're not just saying, we're doing this, come along if you like it. We're like, no, this is for you. Like, wherever you're from, faiths, no faiths, whatever your background is, your orientation, persuasion, whatever, just come and enjoy the music, because we all love it. It's uplifting, it's whatever. But yeah, it is right at the centre of what we do at Lighthouse. Lighthouse serves its community, all the communities. So whether you've been there for decades or you're just newly in, we're here. We're there to support you. So well-being is at our core. We do that through arts, we do that through programs, we serve children, adults, and we just really want to make sure that wherever you are in your journey, if we can support you, we do.
And it's in the Anfield area, isn't it, as well?
It's in the Anfield area.
That's where it is. If people are checking it out, and obviously Stanley Park's North Liverpool in the Anfield area too, as it sits there all the way through. Who have you got headlining?
We have the London Community Gospel Choir. Don't let the community fool you, because they are one of the oldest and most established.
Do you think they're too good? Are they too good to use the word community? Is that what you're saying? Are you having a go?
Do you know what, right? I love community choirs. I've been running them for decades, like literally. But sometimes when you say that, there's a wide range of, abilities, but they are one of the most established gospel choirs in the country. They've been going for 40 years. They've sung at absolutely everything, for everybody, behind everyone, and in front. So amazing. And then we've got an incredible Afrobeats artist. He is the most streamed gospel musician in the country, and actually has such a wide following across the world. It's just incredible, lots of fun. And then lots of other artists.
Well, you haven't said his name, Limo Frame.
Limo Blaze.
Limo Blaze, sorry, Limo Blaze.
Yeah, Limo Blaze.
It's all right. You don't need to edit that, it's fine. I listened to him this afternoon.
It's all right, isn't
it's
it?
No, you see,
he's really good.
It's great. I honestly really enjoyed it. Listened to 3 or 4 different tracks this afternoon. I had a really nice time with it.
Really good. Gets you moving, gets you dancing, gets you up in it, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah.
So it's going to be amazing.
And you've got a secret headliner?
We've got a secret headliner.
And you're not telling me?
I'm definitely not telling you.
You didn't tell me off air. Before we were running, you wouldn't tell me.
I'm telling you off air.
You were trying to tell me that you didn't know.
I was telling you that half of my body doesn't know. Like the left side.
This side that I'm looking at, the side closest to.
The right side knows, the left side doesn't. So is that secret?
It's that secret.
It's that secret.
People are only going to find out on the day.
You're going to find out on the day.
So you've got to be there.
You've got to be there.
That's a reason to go.
I think that's a real reason to go. And you know what? It's a treat.
People can support 2 different ways. One is obviously by attending, turning up, being part of the process. There's also a crowdfunder. Where do people find the crowdfunder first and foremost?
So if you go to liverpoollighthouse.com/LGFM, you'll see a button there that says donate. That's going to take you to the crowdfunder.
Great.
And we'll plaster it all up so that you know exactly where to find it. Please help us.
Festivals like this, one of the key things that they get to do is to give people a reason to come together. And that's another thing that's now happening on the 7th of September. To the backdrop of what have been, if we're all honest about it, scenes that you don't want to see anywhere. It's easy to be parochial about it and say you don't want to see them in Liverpool, but you don't want to see them anywhere. And the Gospel Festival that you're putting on, the events, everything that goes on at the Lighthouse, a big part of that is about bringing the community together and showing people that they've got so much in common.
It's so, so important. I mean, to be honest with you, as you say, we were doing that beforehand.
Yeah.
But against this backdrop, we really want to show who we are. Who are we as a city?
Yeah.
Who are we as a country? We come together. I mean, one of the great things is that in Stanley Park, you have people from all different ages and races and backgrounds and beliefs just coming together, and literally last year dancing together, enjoying, as I said, doing the conga, the slides, having such great unity and cohesion. We want to do that again this year.
When there are the events that we saw, everything from demonstrations in some areas, actual horrendous violence in others, the burning down of the library on Spellow Road being an extreme example. I'm sure in your work at the Lighthouse, becomes the number one topic, not just for the following morning. It's not just like it is in some workplaces where it's around while we're having a cup of coffee and a chat. It becomes the number one topic for 3 months, 6 months, a year, as to how to address this and deal with it.
It's a real thing. As I say, we are right in the heart of so many different communities.
Yep.
And so some people there were absolutely horrified that their home has actually, been a part of perpetrating that. Other people were really horrified and scared that, oh my gosh, am I able to go onto the streets? Am I able to go to work? Am I able to go into different areas? So to have an opportunity where we can actually address that head on and make a stand, I think it's perfect.
The idea of people being scared was, in many ways, I had a couple of people messaging me, people who were told not to go to work in different areas of the country, not just in Liverpool, right the way across the country, people messaging me about it and I was messaging them about it. That was the bit that I almost found. Obviously you see the horrendous images, but then away from looking at a screen, away from anything like that, interacting with friends who are genuinely saying to you, I don't want to go outside the house, or I've been told I can't go to work. To me, that was almost the most depressing aspect, was removing people's agency, that no one's agency should be removed. Everyone should be given more agency to be able to be the person they want to be. So the Gospel Festival is part of that, but that Lighthouse work is so important to that, to give people agency.
It's so important to that. Everything we do is geared towards that. It's geared towards making sure that people feel that they're able to progress
Yeah.
in life. And that's not taking someone else's space.
Nope.
That's actually contributing to it. That's saying we are each other's neighbour and we can all help each other in one way or another, and we can come together. And so the work we do in Lighthouse is crucially important for that.
So that's another reason why people should think about donating, if they get the opportunity to do so, because that's the work that you're doing day in, day out.
That is precisely why we're saying please help, because in so many different ways. For Lighthouse, for exactly the same reason, but even for the festival, because there are, more security concerns. And we've made sure that people are safe and that they feel comfortable to come, but that costs. Right? So everything has an implication, but we want to keep doing great work, and so we'd love everyone's help with that.
And for tickets?
For tickets, same website address, liverpoollighthouse.com/LGMF. On the same page, you're going to see a buttons for tickets. That's where you get your
So
tickets.
it's just one page?
It's one page.
We can sort that out. And it is the Saturday, the 7th of September. There's no match, so you've got no excuse if you're in the area. There is no game. It is an international weekend. These people check the calendar. They know what's going on. They've lined it up brilliantly. Saturday, the 7th of September for the Liverpool Gospel Music Festival, which in 2 or 3 years' time will be undoubtedly the biggest mainstream gospel music festival in the country. It's been a pleasure to meet Anu and go from there, and let's all find out what the secret headliner is.
Thanks a lot to Neil, and of course to Anu. It's always lovely to have Anu in. She is a ray of sunshine, a beautiful person in and out, and when she comes in, she makes everyone feel great. So thanks a lot to Anu for coming in, and good luck with the Gospel Festival again, of course. I want to talk a little bit about Arsenal now, because we need them to drop points if we want to win it on Sunday, if we want to make it a Super Sunday, an amazing week. Imagine Virgil signing a new deal, Abby finishes her painting, league title on Sunday. What a week that would be. Easter Sunday, we're all off work on Monday. Well, fucking Beth's not, but we're all off work on Monday. Can Ipswich beat Arsenal?
I don't think so. I mean, sorry for your big build-up on that.
It's all right, take your time, used to it.
Sorry for the big build-up on that, but there is a part of me that wants to win it at Anfield, and, Arsenal are going to be going into that game feeling like 10 foot... I was going to say 5 foot tall, then feeling 10 foot... That's me, 5 foot tall. That's tall for me. Feeling 10 foot tall, they're going to be going into it after that game against Madrid. They managed to even win it at the Bernabeu last night, which I wasn't expecting. So it's just a case of they're going to be going into it feeling confident. I mean, it doesn't really matter to them now, though, which is the only thing. If they lost that game, it's sort of a case of, right, it's over now, because, I mean, obviously we have to win against Leicester, but if they drop that game, it sort of gives them that mentality of, right, we can let that go now, just focus on the Champions League. The Premier League is over when it comes to Arsenal. It is over. But, I mean, you've got to fight to the end. Arteta said over his dead body, which is getting very, very close to the case by the looks of it.
No one wants to win it like that.
No one wants to win it like that, except Arteta seems to be sacrificing himself for some reason, even though it was very clearly over at the time. But in terms of Arsenal, I just think they'll be going into this one feeling quite happy. But I just have the thing of wanting to be there. I haven't got a ticket for Leicester if anyone wants to get me a ticket. But I want to be there in the ground at Anfield when we win it. And I just feel like a full Anfield, we win it. I'm not being funny. The Spurs fans are going to be celebrating if we win it at home against Spurs.
Oh,
they'll be made up. They'll be made up if we win it, to be fair. I've just got this thing of wanting to be there when we do it, and I want it to be at Anfield. But at the end of the day, the quicker it's wrapped up, the better, really, because I'm sick of listening to people be like, oh, well, with the maths, after we got beat by Fulham, I had this whole breakdown in a group chat I was in of, if these points happen there, this happens this way, and you start to trick yourself into thinking maybe it's going to slip, and it hasn't.
Should try hanging out with Gutman, honestly. lad will throw Pebble in anyway. I've got a vision now. We've got an Anfield Wrap live show. We'll talk about it a bit more at the end, but we're doing an end of season thing along with a few others at the exhibition centre. When you talk about Arteta's dead body, I had the visions of a coffin on stage with Arteta on. We'll have a funeral for him. That's what we'll do on the Saturday night. If anyone can do the flowers, let me know. Mike, any chance Ipswich beat Arsenal Sunday?
Look, they were 2-0 up against Chelsea, weren't they?
They were, Mike.
It's...
Just call Abby a fridge, it's fine.
I did in the process. But to be fair, Declan Rice sort of slipped up a little bit last night after he was interviewed after, and he goes to say, we focus on Sunday now. got to secure, and then he stopped himself, and then he went, got to keep winning, you know, as much as we can in that competition. I was like, he just wants to say secure top 4 there. Like, he was literally going to say that. They know deep down. I mean, after we lost at Fulham, that was after they'd already drawn, so we'd somehow managed to lose and get closer to the Premier League title, which would have annoyed everyone, which was fantastic. And then, you know, we've then gone and beat West Ham, and they've dropped again. It's 13 points. Where Sam used to work for the Wrap, Sam Walker. I said, I messaged him before the Brentford game because I seen the team and I went, I'd be going sick. He started Rice, he brings Saka off the bench. I'd have been going absolutely mad in the alternative. Like, if that was us and we 3-0 up against Madrid, going to the Bernabeu, one of them gets like a stupid injury or a wild tackle thrown in, I'd have been going mad because it's just like, yeah, of course we want to win the Premier League, but when you're like 11 points behind with a bigger game that they can control winning the Champions League, can't they? Because it's in their hands. They literally turn up and win. They win the thing. Simple as that. And I'd have been going mad. And so I don't think they'll play full throttle against Ipswich. Ipswich are probably down, aren't they? But they've sort of loosened up a bit, scored a few goals here and there. Maybe not win, but I could definitely see a world where at like 70 minutes it's like 2-2 or something like that, or 1-1, and then Arsenal just go, you know what, we've got PSG in a couple of weeks. I really can't be bothered chasing Rory Delap and Rory Delap's kid, Liam Delap, and doing my hamstring while he's trying to tow one in for a goal bonus. So I'm not bothered, essentially. I don't care when it happens. You know, it's a glorious thing. We will celebrate it. I'm you know, we've deserved it. We're miles clear. Arsenal, by the way, 5-1 over Madrid in this shit Premier League, and we're 13 points clear of them. Sound, you know what I mean? Like, we are just that good, and I don't care if it's Sunday, I don't care if it's Wednesday. Likelihood is it will be Spurs, I think, because Palace will be they got beat 5-0 last night also, and I think they'll be just keeping themselves wrapped up in cotton wool again, not wanting to overextend themselves, little niggles here or there, hamstrings, whatever, because they're playing an FA Cup semi-final. So if you know, we win on Sunday, it's 3 points. If Arsenal win, it's still 3 points, and they'd need to go and win again then. So the likelihood is it will be Spurs, and I'll be sound with that. But if it ends up being Sunday, then my God, won't it be some celebration?
It will indeed. Do you see any of the Delaps, Rory or Liam, causing Arsenal enough problems? I'd sort of talked myself into it earlier in the week, and then I watched them last night, and they are a good team, aren't they? Fair play, and you feel like, they're not going to play the same intensity at Portman Road as they would at the Bernabeu, because, it doesn't mean as much. It doesn't matter as much in the context of their season. It doesn't matter as much on any given day, I suppose. You want to put your big performances in on the biggest stage. So I don't expect them to play as well as they did on Wednesday night on Sunday, but then the opposition isn't the same level, so they don't have to. What are your thoughts on it, and are you going?
I am going, yeah, I'm working it. So, I mean, it'd be quite helpful for me if they didn't win it this weekend, because I've got a lot to do, and quite frankly, I'd like another week to be able to do it. But I think if they only had to draw against Ipswich, I'd be more convinced that it might happen this weekend. I can't see Arsenal losing it. I can see Ipswich causing them problems. I think Delap, I think Rory Delap would probably cause more problems for them than Kylian Mbappe and Vinny Jr. did.
Yeah, at least he's got a big throw.
Yeah, exactly. But I just think they've not lost an awful lot of games this season, Arsenal. I think the draws have been the sort of kryptonite. So if they were to drop points, I could see it more being a draw. I think the only way I can see Ipswich winning is if they sort of really do make it a tough game, or they get a couple of goals early on, and Arsenal just think, you know what, we can't really be bothered with this. So it'd be very Liverpool, wouldn't it, for Arsenal to lose there, and then for them to not win against Leicester, because I think they can relegate Leicester, can't they? Probably,
I don't know. I think it maybe depends on how the results go, but I think there is a possibility, by Sunday that they can go down if they lose.
So, yeah, I think it could happen. I think it's not entirely beyond the realms of possibility, but I would imagine it will probably be against Tottenham. And I agree with that. I think because, Liverpool fans were denied the chance to celebrate properly last time, I just think it would be really fitting for it to be at Anfield.
I mean, this is all very sensible, but I'm a man who wants
You want it done this
Wants it
weekend.
over
I just,
and done with.
you know, yeah. Oh, yeah. If you offer me £5 now or £10 tomorrow, I'll take the £5.
I mean, one thing I will say, I'm not quite sure who's going to be on commentary duty, but can you imagine Peter Drury's sort of Easter-related puns and stuff
Liverpool
if they win
rise
it?
again.
Yeah, on Sunday. I mean, I don't know if that's a positive or a negative. Depends on your
I
outlook.
don't think that's endorsing me enough, though, to be fair.
No, me neither.
I was thinking, I was going to ask Craig, do you think I could tweet on Easter morning Jesus coming out and saying league title till we won? Is that blasphemous?
I think it maybe is on the verge.
It's on the verge.
Yeah,
Shall I check? Shall I check with me head of brand and marketing?
yeah, I
Yeah,
think
that's
sensible.
close to Greg's putting the sausage roll in the crib. Do you remember when we did that?
Great
That's
set of
up
lads.
there with that.
Yeah. I'll check.
Yeah.
I think you get away with it.
Yeah.
Why don't you get people to leave a comment in the
text in?
yeah,
Let me
text in.
know. Is it okay for me to tweet a picture of Jesus coming? I mean, it won't be an exact picture. It'll be like, I have to get Abby to paint it. Of him coming out.
Got enough on me playing now
Saying,
with these announcements.
League title to it. There'll be one will exist somewhere already, won't it? If not, Groch will do it for me. Okay.
AI 's got
Yeah.
the
Let me know if you think that's all right. You could put a little Liverpool shirt on him, Groch, couldn't he? We're getting worse.
Yeah. It's near the knuckle though.
My nan's a fuming someone listening to this.
And she's the last person I want to upset. Right, think about Abby's nan, John. Okay, did you watch any of the Champions League this week? Did you enjoy it? Did you make you think, oh, we should be still in it? Or can you just enjoy it for what it is?
Yeah, I did watch it. I think Villa were probably unlucky to not try and get one more. I was literally screaming at the TV, and I don't normally root for the other English teams whenever in the Champions League, 'cause I always just like us to be, the Champions League is our pinnacle, isn't it? It's literally, I mean, I love the Premier League, don't get me wrong, but the Champions League is the one that I always want to win every season. That's our competition, isn't it, in terms of English sides? So it's not like me to root for another English side, but just because they started to get back into it, I did start to have a little bit of faith for Villa to be able to come back against PSG, but PSG is just too good. But I can see a world where PSG and Arsenal are a good match up against each other, where we'll have another good game to be able to watch there. But I still do think PSG will probably be able to just do enough to get past them, because they're a little bit slimy, PSG, aren't they? I can see them being able to just get over the line in that game. But I enjoyed it, to be fair. I didn't enjoy watching Arsenal last night. For some reason, I just had this thing in my head of Madrid are going to come back into it. I was just kept telling myself they are, and I was conflicted because I don't like Madrid. One, they're taking Trent off us. Two, all those finals that they've beat us and stuff like that.
Madrid.
Yeah, I don't like Madrid, which sort of softened the blow of Arsenal getting through to the next thing. So I was having a debate with my dad about who's had a better season if we win the league, if Arsenal go to win the Champions League. Hands down, both of us were like, if Arsenal win the Champions League, that's a better season. Cause
I won't be sober enough to tell you. When we win the Premier League, mate, I don't
won't
give a
be
shit what anyone
arsed
else has
because
done.
we'd have won the league, but I just think that the Champions League is the pinnacle of everything. But some of those refereeing decisions, those penalties just have me off the wall sometimes. That first one, I just think he needs to be closer to the ball for him to actually give that. Takes it terribly. Saka took that absolutely terribly. But that second pen that they overruled, it was probably the right decision, but I don't think either of them were actually penalties in the end. So, I mean, it was entertaining, but you're always gutted that we're not in it, because I feel like we'd have put in a good fight.
How were you watching it, Mike? Were you hate watching it? Were you watching it through, disgust, or were you just going, let's just watch some footy?
I'd obviously love to still be in it, but it does soften the blow, doesn't it? That we're about to make it number 20. No one better than us in the country. Look, do I think it would have impacted if we'd have stayed in? Would we be far clear? God knows. It is literally just I don't know. I wasn't really devastated that we weren't involved. Like it would have been a bit mad, wouldn't it, that we'd have got through against PSG and then we'd have had Villa and Arsenal, and all the European away regulars would have been like Birmingham and London sound. It would have been a bit shit on that front, wouldn't it? But look, it's a competition is tough to win, and some people often sometimes say sometimes the best team doesn't win it. But you've got to be the best team on the day, no matter what. And if you turn up and look, we went out on pens, so it's a horrible way to go out. It's a brilliant way to win, but it's a horrible way to go out on pens. I wasn't really that bothered. As I say, we're about to win something that we all wanted for years and years and years. And when we did get to win it, we couldn't really get to celebrate it properly, even though we gave it a good go. At the time, this one for me, I was absolutely fine watching it. I also, Inter Milan are sound, and I would hate to play against them because they can score goals out of nowhere, and they're just mad defensively good. And they went 1-0 down last night, didn't they? And then they came back and went through. So it's one of them where it's a good semi-final lineup. It's a good neutral watch. I think both nights it'll be a good. But next season, would I like to be involved? Of course I would. But I say it's no hardship for us, is it, to go, we've just won the league. I will be too happy to care who wins that Champions League.
It's very open, isn't it? Is what I would say. I had Sky Sports News on this morning, and they had the Opta supercomputer on. I mean, he's never lit. You don't see him. No. He's doing all the work. Or her.
I don't think he's that super or her, because I mean, if you're changing your prediction so frequently, then you're not that
indecisive.
super, are you? Really?
Yeah, say what you want about Mystic Meg, but she fucking committed to it. Do you know what I mean? She said this is going to happen, right or wrong. She nailed the colours down. Yeah, no, I think that is fair criticism of the Opta supercomputer. But where it did agree with him or her this morning was they had everyone between 20 and 30% basically. So I think the highest percentage to win it was 29 and the lowest was 21. And I thought, do you know what? Up the supercomputer, who we won't show the gender of, that I think that is right. It's anyone's game, and that's quite cool, because normally, even last year, the final, you're like, Dortmund aren't going to win. Even when they were playing well, you're like, pack it in. Do you know what I mean? Let's just get to the bit where Real Madrid win it. Whereas this time, I think you can make a good argument for any of the 4 teams, and that's quite exciting.
Yeah, I think for the neutral, it's really exciting because, like you say, that you could make a case for any of the 4. I think you've almost got 2 categories. I think Barcelona and PSG are maybe the slightly more exciting, attack-minded teams. But I think I'd say probably Inter are probably the best coached team still left in it. I mean, defensively they're so well structured, and I think Arsenal are brilliantly coached as well. Certainly, and how well they've managed to defend and restrict Real Madrid over those 2 legs was really impressive. And they've conceded less goals than Liverpool in the league this season, I think. So I think defensively they're hard to get at. Same with Inter. So I think you've got 2 sort of different brands of football there. And I mean, I know obviously PSG come with all of the external things of who their owners are and things like that, and it's the same things that Manchester City gets criticised for. So I know there won't be some people rooting for them, but in terms of as a team, I'd like them to win. Because it's then you say Liverpool went out to the eventual winners, but I just think I just enjoy watching them so much. And that first half against Villa the other night, they're just so good when they're on it. They're so slick, and but then it was interesting obviously to see how Villa rattled them really in that second half. And I think for Arsenal that's got to be the thing, is not sort of just sitting back and trying to soak up the pressure. I think if you go at them, that's where you can get a little bit of joy.
Concert at the header as well, didn't he? 3-2.
Yeah, it was really unlucky.
I think he shut his eyes or something when it came over to him, because I was just expecting it to be a goal.
Yeah. Villa played really, really well in that second half, but I think all 4, there's positives about them all, and it should be a really exciting round of semi-finals. Yeah,
it should be exciting. I think there's an interesting dynamic around who's still very much in the title race and who isn't. So into the top, but only by 2 points. They've got Napoli breathing down their neck, so they can't let up. Barcelona are in a similar position. I think if they're 3 points clear at the top. I think it is. I've got Real chasing them, who are now out of it, and I think Atletico Madrid are still sort of striking distance as well. And so there's that. But PSG have won the league and can just play whoever they want and win games, it seems. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. And then Arsenal, might be all over for them by Monday. Certainly you'd think over by the time they play the semi-finals. And so they're do you want just the Champions League to concentrate on, or are you better just playing it, intensely? I think in terms of just winning the Champions League, I think you'd rather your league title was done and dusted like PSG. So that's an interesting dynamic to sort of throw in as well. But hey, it's anyone's, as the supercomputer says. Okay, I'm going to have another little break now. I'm going to speak to Matty from the Shipbuilders about their single Daydreaming that's out this week, and then we'll be back in the room to look ahead best we can to Ipswich. Not Ipswich. Who are we playing? Leicester. Leave it in. And I am now joined by Matty from the Shipbuilders to talk about a brand new single. And for those who don't know, the Shipbuilders have been on the road with us or on the seas with us over the years. We've done live shows together in Brighton for the sports clubs down there. We've took it over to Belfast. We've even done some stuff here in Liverpool. So yeah, it's a long association together, and we try to support you guys best you can because the music's incredible. But the second album is on its way, and to celebrate, we've got a brand new single which is out now.
Yeah. Came out yesterday. Yeah, it's called Daydreaming. It's an old song that we've played on and off many times over the years. But then we had a permanent brass member join the band, as Gibbo was. You were our go-to man, but obviously things got busy, so we got a permanent brass on board, and kind of a song we've been playing for years but never quite got right in the studio. It just kind of opened it up and became this new beast. And it wasn't going to be a single, but we heard it in playback, and we knew that's got to be the first single. So yeah, it was out yesterday, called Daydreaming.
How much fun is it to do the second album? Because like you said, the sounds developed over time. You've got Pistol Pete here, who no sort of lifts anything, whether he's playing or not. So and I know from speaking to you, you sort of get confidence from, you've been working with Danny, the same producer, for a long time now, so that working relationships blossomed, you're used to the surroundings, and I know how much you've enjoyed coming together and doing this second album, and felt like, everything's got up to another level, really.
Yeah, it was weird because with the first album, it was COVID struck and everything slowed down, and even after all the restrictions were lifted, there was a big hangover and everything. There was delays for everything, and everything was in a queue. So we just thought, sod it, strike while the iron's hot. So we actually started recording album 2 before album 1 was even out. But across that time, I think we just got a confidence in. I know this sounds really kind of maybe a bit pretentious, but we got confidence in using the studio as an instrument in the sense that the first album was just a case of us being made up to be in a studio and laying down the songs. And the songs on the first album are pretty much as we played them live. But with the second one, we had kind of time in our hands and a bit more confidence and a bit less questioning ourselves. And we thought, sod it, let's really kind of throw everything at it, throw the kitchen sink at it, all the studio trickery. We've got cello players in, violin players, I'm on piano. It really kind of, we took things to the next level, thinking about how we can make a great studio album.
Yeah, fantastic. And how much fun are you having playing live at the moment as well? Because you're up and down the country doing quite a lot. Obviously, the fan base has grown, over the years from live shows and people sort of hearing you. And I know you're jumping in the car and doing bits at the moment. So how much fun is it playing these songs that you've sort of honed in the studio and throwing them on the live stage?
Yeah, it's great because we had them written before going into the studio, and then we did all the trickery with Danny in the studio, and then we then have to go, right, we're gonna have to relearn these songs, and how do we make them sound as good live now? So they've kind of been through 3 stages of development: the initial demo stages, the studio, and now we go, right, we've got to play this live as a 5-piece. So that's been really good. It's a bit like flying by the seat of your pants at times, because you're trying to do our 4 things at once that you've done in the studio, but it's great, and the songs are going down well. And kind of happily, at the end of a set, when people come up to you and say, "Oh, I like that song," or "I like that song," a lot of it's the new stuff, which is reassuring, because I can't keep playing The Moon over and over again for 20 years. Like,
well, you say that.
I mean, I will.
But yeah, ideally people are into new songs you really like. And as this is a football podcast, we've got to say as well, there is, like all good bands should be, a split band there. There's Liverpool, there's Everton, there's Marine as well. And I know Liverpool's impending league titles playing havoc on your schedule. You've been messaging me about fixtures moving and stuff like that, because there's a few want to be in the city when it's happening.
I mean, for the record, I'm an Evertonian by trade, although I go watch Marine more now. But yeah, we've got a gig in Bristol on April the 26th, and that, of course, was the original date for the Tottenham game, where it looks like you might clinch the title. And I was just like, how did Liverpool ruin my life, even when I'm not even bothered? Like, I'm not even to do with football, and their fixtures are getting in the way of a Bristol gig. I mean, mercifully, it got moved to the Sunday, but for a while I was just pulling my hair out going, I can't believe this, they're doing it again. But yeah, so we're at Bristol a week Saturday, and then half of the band are legging it back for the Tottenham game on the Sunday. I'll be staying down in Bristol, I think.
Enjoyed it. You've got a decent little following down there, though, haven't you, in Bristol? You've done a few shows down there. Down.
Yeah, it's always good. It's always good. There's, again, not to make it tribal, but there's the Bristol Toffees. There's a big Everton contingency down in Bristol. I don't kind of quite know what the connection is, but they bring a load down. So I'd look, if there's any Bristol Reds, gather your troops and come down and watch us. There's not many tickets left, so there's your plug.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. But when is the album coming out then? Because obviously this is to promote the album, so it must be fairly soon.
All being well, it'll be early July. So we've penciled in the 11th of July, but we've got 2 more singles to come before then.
But this one is available Spotify, YouTube, however you normally music you'll be able to find.
A lot. Yeah. If you go to any of our social profiles or just type in Shipbuilders on anything, it's out in the wild now. So yeah, Shipbuilders Daydreaming.
What's your sort of plans or ambitions, if you like, for the next 12 months? Because the first album did really well, didn't it? It got a really good reception, really good reviews in, magazines and stuff like that. Played on Six Music, and so there's a lot of things that I know you've done pretty much in yourself, and I've tried to help out in other people. But largely it's been you, and you've done sort of so well to get the first album as far as it can be. What would you like to do with this one, and what would be your ideal in terms of pushing this out there even more?
Yeah, I think it's building on. We the first one we made up with, and if we replicate those results again, that's a success. But you always want to be building on your last project. So ideally, I'd like to be getting into the festival scenes, or even tipping into next year. Kind of getting into your Green Mans of the world, those type of really cool festivals, which I get very green-eyed when I see people playing. So just building on that really, and reaching places that I can't reach, if you know what I mean, because a lot of the stuff we've done, it's been off our own steam. We're a very DIY band, and all the connections we make, the brilliant, like your Six Music or your music reviews. So it's kind of getting to the stage where I can't do that anymore. Getting to the places which are just out of my reach at the moment. So just your good support slots or something like that. Just more gigs around the country. That's the main thing at the moment. I think I want to be cracking into other cities. So if any of your listeners have got connections in any other cities, Manchester, Liverpool, anyway, just send us a message and we'll play. Have guitar, we'll travel.
If you've got a venue, or better still a festival, give Matty
yeah.
And they won't let me down. Let me tell you, one of the best live bands in the city and have been for a long time. Matty, best of luck with the single.
Thank you, mate.
I know everyone who listens to it will enjoy it. Would encourage people to check it out. There's a great video done by friend of the show as well. Yes. You want to check that out on YouTube.
Yes, with Dan Hewitson, aka Freakbeat Films. We just had a laugh. Basically, went to Peter Cabana's pub, and then around the International Festival Garden site. It's one of those things we asked forgiveness, not permission. We didn't ask Cabana's. We just rocked up with all our instruments and trumpets, and the landlady was ringing downstairs. Why is there a trumpet playing downstairs? Who's playing that piano?
That's what happens once you've got kids. Though you've got to have you need a music video to have a pint, don't you? Honestly,
very much so. Yeah.
How do we get a pint out of this? Because I've got fucking no chance. Otherwise,
it's work, honest love. Yeah.
That's very good. Yeah, as I say, best of luck with it. Do check it out, people, on Spotify, on YouTube. Do support the lads.
Cheers.
And we've had fun with them over the years. But top man, thanks for coming on, Matt.
Thanks as ever. Cheers, mate.
Okay, back in the room, and I've still got Abby, still got Michael, still got Beth, and still got you guys. Hopefully, you are still with us. Hope you've enjoyed the show so far. I just want to give a couple of shout outs. First of all, to NordVPN, who are partnered with us on this run on Midweek Extra. So huge thanks to Nord for sponsoring us. They've signed up till the middle of September now, which is brilliant. It is lovely to work with them, lovely to have them on board. And the reason why they keep extending is because so many of you are enjoying and getting so much from their fantastic service. So I use it. I've got a NordVPN at home. home, and I use it on a lot of different ways, on different devices. So I've got it on my mobile phone, I've got it on my laptop, it's on my missus' laptop as well. You can actually use one subscription on up to 10 devices, which is brilliant. I'm not lucky enough to own 10, but high-powered people like Beth have got loads, and so that sort of helps them. And I use it in a number of different ways. So when I'm traveling, it's great because I'm logging in on public Wi-Fi. Sometimes you're a bit unsure about them, so it gives you a lot of extra added security. Also, you can keep in touch with your shows at home, and so little things that you watch. Episode 4 of City is Ours, I'm absolutely hooked at the moment. So if I was going somewhere tomorrow and I did sort of want to watch that, I can change my NordVPN to UK, I can log into the iPlayer, and I can continue to watch that. So it is useful. But I think the main reason why a lot of Anfield Wrap people do enjoy it is, like I said, that ability to change your virtual location, but to do it in the UK. And so there's some things that aren't on telly in the UK, and they might even be taking place in the UK. It might be playing just up the road, but they aren't on telly in the UK, but they are in other countries. And so with a click of a button, it's so easy, even I can do it. You can change your virtual location to, say, the USA, use a subscription service, something like Peacock, and then it opens up all these new avenues that you didn't necessarily have. And so it is a fantastic service, and you can get a very good offer if you go to nordvpn.com/TAW. That is nordvpn.com/TAW. There's extra special offer for you on there, and there's also a 30-day money-back guarantee. So they're that confident that you'll enjoy the service. If you're not sure if the less than 30 days, you can get your money back, and that is very easy apparently to do as well. So huge thanks to them for partnering with us. Really appreciate it. And we've got them till the middle of September now. Mentioned it before, the Anfield Wrap Live last weekend of the season. So huge shout to Red Weekender, because they're the people who've done all the work on this. They asked us to get involved a couple of months ago. They said they want to do something huge over the last weekend of the season, involving ourselves, involving Red Men TV, involving Boss Night, and bringing everyone together and making sure, that we're not clashing with each other, and if people want to do everything that they can, but just making it bigger and better. So they've done all the work on this, all the legwork. They've been speaking to the exhibition centre at the M&S Bank Arena for ages, pulling it all together, and we're delighted with what we've got. We've got the Saturday night. We're in the auditorium, which is an amazing space. We actually went to see it a couple of years ago, and had a little look at doing something there, but couldn't quite make it work money-wise. And so this is why, coming together with other people just allows you to do things bigger and better. So I can't wait to do something in that space. I was really gutted that we couldn't a couple of years ago, and now we're able to do in there. I think it's 1,200 capacity. It's all seated. It's going to look amazing, and when it's full of Liverpool supporters and Anfield Wrap people, it's going to sound amazing as well. So made up. So we're there on the Saturday night. You can just buy tickets just for us. We're £20 plus booking fee, or you can pay an extra £5 and go and see the Zetons, which seems like incredible value. It was more than that to see them 15 years ago in the Zanzibar, when I used to go with my sister to the bandwagon, honestly. So for an extra £5, which is probably worth it, you can go and watch the Zetons just before as well. So that is the Saturday night. That's all in one space. Red Men are on the Saturday afternoon. They've got loads of great stuff planned. Boss are doing the Friday, and the Boss Kids on the Sunday as well, and they are working on a couple of other things, but all those things are available now. I think we'll sell out. I think we'll sell out before Spurs, to be honest with you, so I wouldn't hang around too much. The tickets are going really well, and so don't, if you want to come, just get your tickets. I would say don't be messaging me in 2 weeks asking for more, because I'm not selling them. We can't do the normal trick of like, oh, Craig, can you put a couple more on and we'll front it? They're not ours. And the arena have got stricter things than these sorts of things. And so, yeah, if you want to come, I would, I'd hurry up and get your ticket, basically. That's just a bit of advice. That is not meant to be like marketing pressure. That's just me telling me mates, if you want to come, then I would, hurry up on that. And me and Neil are going to plan a fantastic show. We have not planned it yet, to be honest with you. But when we do, it's going to be amazing. So that is all on there. That's the last weekend of the season. Tickets are available now. If you search Red Weekender on social media, that's probably the easiest way to find it, although I'm sure it's going out on our social channels as well. I think that's everything I want to talk about. Have you got into plug, Beth? Written anything good recently?
I'm currently writing something on Van Dijk and Salah, so that should be out hopefully today or tomorrow. So check it out on ESPN. We've got lots of good stuff there, not just from me, from lots of other people who are very talented. So you caught me off guard.
I know, I'll put you on the bit of a spot a little bit.
I'll have to start thinking of things that I want to plug.
Yeah, buy some of Abby's prints.
Yeah.
Get on the website, buy some prints, not the black ones that pop up on Etsy.
Yeah.
Go to
The
her
real
site.
ones.
I actually have one of Abby's prints in my kitchen because I bought it for my dad. Like
really?
the Barcelona in front of the Cop one.
Yeah.
I bought it a couple of years ago, and I only recently I'd said to my dad, I was like, we need to actually like put it up in the kitchen, so it is now in the kitchen.
I'll go out for a cup of tea, you can sign it.
Got loads of nice shiny Premier League ones that I'm planning at the minute. I've gone for it in terms of the Salah with on the throne. I've put a trophy on his head, a Premier League on his knee, guys. He's gonna love it. He's got the trophy there on his knee, so keep an eye out for that.
Keep an eye out for that. Mike, you're funny on Twitter. Follow Mike on Twitter, he's got jokes. Anyway, listen, there's absolutely loads to look ahead to the, I keep saying Ipswich, I'm just obsessed with this Ipswich game, honestly, it's all I care about. But after that we play Leicester, there's going to be loads looking ahead to that, so there'll be, Andy will be doing press conference extra straight after the press conference, that's why it's called that, whenever the fuck Arne Slot does it, he keeps changing his mind. When's the press conference? Is it tomorrow?
At 9, yeah.
Tomorrow at 9, and write that down. Yeah, it says that now, he'll change it. So tomorrow after the press conference we've got Team Talk, Hiya, hosted by Josh Jackson, which will be happening as well the Friday night on YouTube, so loads looking ahead to this game, which in a way that we sort of haven't had time to because of the Virgil stuff, but you just back them to win it, Mike, is what I would say. Leicester are poor. They haven't beaten anyone who isn't Tottenham for about 4 months. So you'd back the Reds to do the business regardless of what happens at Ipswich in the game I'm obsessed with.
100%, yeah. It is that attitude of when West Ham went 1-1, we made it 2-1, and look, Leicester won't want to get relegated, but it's sort of an inevitability for them. They may put a bit of a fight up, but these players are hungry for the celebrations. That we see Alisson, I think, is the one who keeps everyone on the pitch after West Ham, and they're already excited, and that's sort of soaking it in from that day. And the earliest way to make sure that you can have them celebrations early is to just go and do the business. And I think it will be professional. I think we will turn up and play well again. Another week's rest, all that stuff, and it's a feel good feeling, isn't it? We had it off the Salah contract, we have it off the Virgil late winner and contract, and we're about to win the Premier League. Every single one of them players is going to be up for it, whether you're on the starting 11 or the bench.
Yeah, they are going to be so up for it, and the manager's got these weeks to get everyone fresh. I'm not sure at this stage of the season you're doing loads of tactical stuff sort of with them. I'm sure it's just keeping them ticking over, keeping that positivity going, like Mike said, and it's more of a chance just to make sure he can keep picking what 11 he wants, and it'll be interesting to see whether Robertson comes back in, because obviously he picks Jamaikas. There's the ongoing Gakpo-Diaz little battle between them, which I think the manager quite likes. I think he likes having both options, and then we've seen Jota up front so far, whether he sort of continues with that, but he can basically pick who he wants in this, and even Trent's back, which would be an interesting one.
No, Trent's not going to be back if I'm picking the team. But I think there's a few interesting options to have. I'm at the point in mentality-wise where I'm just like, win it however you need to win it. I don't care about what your tactics are. I don't care what formation you go for slot. If you just want to throw all attackers on the pitch, all out attack, I don't mind. Just go and win it. And there is a little bit of a battle going on there between Diaz and Gakpo trying to get that left-sided position. I don't think Diaz actually enjoys playing through the middle, but I think that's probably the best chance he's got of getting on the pitch for me personally. I do prefer Gakpo on the left, and when you think about when we played Leicester at home, Gakpo performed really, really well against them. He scores, and he scores 2 actually, but one of them's offside, but he takes it really well, and I just think Gakpo against Leicester is probably the ideal for me, but you could just put Diaz through the middle as well and have both of them, and just that's my preferred attacking force, because I just don't feel like Jota and Núñez are stepping up in that middle position. That's definitely a place for investment in the summer, but no matter, start 11 attackers slot if you can find them somewhere. Start all of them, because
Chiesa's best chance of getting a game.
Chiesa's best chance of getting a game. Sure, he still needs to come on one more time to even get a medal, the poor lad. He's the only one in that final at Wembley where that actually looked like he was worth his salt as well. But I'm quite excited about it, but like I've just said, I want to win it at Anfield, but if we do win it, it is what it is. The let off in that away end would be absolutely unbelievable if we win it at Leicester, and I Last time we won the league, that game, or was it Boxing Day that we played Leicester? That was sort of when you felt like we'd won it then. So if we actually won it against Leicester, that'd be quite fitting. But yeah, Leicester aren't scoring goals, are they? And Van Dijk's going to be stood at the back feeling absolutely unbelievable, signing that new contract. All the vibes are going to be immense for Liverpool. So I'm feeling dead positive about all of it.
It looks thoroughly miserable at Leicester at the moment, doesn't it? And, I know the managers fell out with a couple of the players about various things. They just sort of keep losing. A couple of times you watch them and they don't look too bad, and then they just seem to disintegrate in front of your eyes. They look like a team ready to be put out of their misery, and I'm always happy for Liverpool to do that.
Yeah, I mean, even sort of Southampton, you look at, I mean, they've had a woeful season, but the fans seem to be having a nice time in away ends and things like that. And Ipswich obviously seem to have like the most sort of fight about them, I guess, of the bottom three. Whereas Leicester just seem to have had, like you say, a miserable season. And usually like seasons have little peaks and troughs, but for Leicester it just seems to have been consistent misery. It was under Cooper and now obviously under the new manager. So it's it's a shame really in the sense of, where you look where they were at a few years ago and they were doing really, really well in the Premier League and sort of looked like they'd really established themselves as being a Premier League club, and now obviously it looks like they're heading back down to the Championship and they don't look in particularly good shape to maybe come straight back up. So it's be interesting to see how they play, whether the fact that they might get relegated at the weekend, whether that affects things or affects the atmosphere or anything like that. But it's been a pretty rubbish season for them, and I can't see them causing Liverpool too many problems. Touch wood. Fingers crossed.
Okay, to finish off, I'm going to ask you all what they think the percentage chance is of Liverpool winning the league on Sunday. So, percentage. Does anyone want to jump in with a? Andy's gone for 5. Andy's saying there's a 5% chance. Any enough from 5?
20%.
20. Oh,
this weekend.
On Sunday. I'll have you, Beth. I'm into it. You've 10. You're going with 10. 10% chance.
Not happening.
Yeah.
20. I'm going to stick with 20.
I'll be happy with 30. Three results possible, isn't it? 30% chance.
So you're going to. Mike, you saucy devil. I like it though. I like it. I think Beth's 20. I think is what it feels like to me. But listen, a 1 in 5 chance. If a horse was 5-1, you'd be like, got a good chance of winning. Got a chance of winning. Might happen. It might happen this weekend. As I said, listen, there'll be loads looking ahead to the game against Leicester on the Anfield Wrap subscribers app. So download it, get stuck in. We'd love to have you. And obviously, straight after the game on Sunday, we're going to have loads happening. Regardless of the results up and down the country, we'll be having post-match reaction. But it might be the best post-match reaction of the entire season. Who knows? I'm going to be in Leicester. I absolutely can't wait. I think they might do it Sunday, but if not, we know what's coming. Abby's done the painting. Up the Reds.